Alright guys, so welcome back. We're gonna be working on a 2014 Fiat 500. So we're gonna be doing an oil change on this vehicle. It's one of my good friend's car. So right now I got the drain pan down below. This vehicle takes about 4 quarts of oil along with the filter change. So now you would have to remove actually loosen up, remove 4 bolts. Well, this one's literally stuck on here. Whoever did our oil change last, looks like they broke the plastic piece part on here. So technically this is supposed to go on there. So we got about, let's see how many bolts was there. Literally about 1, 2, 3, 4, I would say about 6 bolts until you actually get the engine bay cover off. So it takes about 4 quarts of oil, as I mentioned earlier. You will need a 13mm wrench. So technically you will need a wrench since you won't have enough spacing right in between this area, the drain bolt, the drain plug, and as long with this. So there's another bar which looks like might possibly be the sway bar, which is kind of actually weird. No, it might not be the sway bar, just another strut bar right underneath it. It looks like the sway bar is right over there, so it's definitely not the sway bar. Excuse me for that. So once, yeah, this strut bar is basically in the way. You don't want to remove it, it's too much work. So you want to get a 13mm wrench so you have enough room, enough play to actually loosen it. Now if it's really tight, use a hammer, kind of hit it in opposite direction, kind of clockwise, lefty loosey, oh, you guys already know. So that's what I did because this drain plug was on there really tight. So I had a little issue with it, so it was really difficult. So right now what I'm gonna do is drain it. I'm gonna get a lot of oil on myself, so I gotta be very careful. So it's all drained out. What I'm about to do is just pour a little bit of oil in there just to clean it out. But before I do that, I'm gonna remove the filter, the oil filter. So what you guys gonna need is basically an extension, 3/4 extension thickness, as well as another one. The reason why you need 2 separate ones, not one long one, get a, no, I'm not sure exactly what size this is, 6-inch, I'm guessing, and this is basically an 8-inch. You know what, it might be 4-inch. Excuse me for that. And a 27mm socket. So this socket is actually the same size for my fuel filter cover. So it uses the same socket size with this vehicle, so it's perfect for me. I don't have to buy a new one. So I'm gonna show you guys what I'm gonna do is grab it, and the fuel filter containers housing is right down here. Sorry, blocking it. Right where the windshield wiper fluid is. So get it right down there and get it in snugged and fit. So right over here. So before I show you what I'm gonna do, notice there is not that much room, and you wonder how you're gonna get a wrench in there, a ratchet. So what you want to do, there's a hole here, a little hole. It's just clear, focus it. It's kind of hard to see, especially since it's a little bit dark. So that's what the other extension is for. So you want to glue the extension right into the other one. So you don't want to get a really long one, otherwise, I mean, you can just put this socket in, but you're just gonna have to twist it around until you get it right in the position. So technically you don't have to get 2 different sizes if it's cheaper to buy one. Lucky for me, fortunately enough, that I had 2 different sizes. So press it in. This is how I'm gonna release it. As you can see from right there out of here. So it's pretty good that they actually have an opening there. If they didn't, this would be a pretty difficult job, requiring some other tools as well. So I got the little big ratchet. So technically I have to loosen it, not tighten it. So you got to put some force into it. Good thing this one has an extension, so I can extend it. But when you guys actually put these back on place, when you tighten them, don't over tighten them, because the housing itself is made out of plastic. So once you over tighten it too much, you will basically break the little plastic trim on the housing itself, and oil will start to leak everywhere. The reason why I know, I've actually experienced it once for myself, and oil was leaking everywhere. So right now I'm loosening it. So when I do that, the purpose of that is you'll see oil coming out a little bit down there. So right now it looks like it's not that much oil, so it wasn't really housing in so much oil in there to where literally I don't have to worry about it. It's not like, it doesn't seem like there's that much vacuum in this oil filter housing, so a little bit weird. For Mercedes itself, there's a lot of vacuum in there. Oh, there you go. So I guess you gotta just basically loosen it all the way to release it. So once that's all released, oil, make sure you have extra amount of oil left over, because then you could actually clean it out a little bit more by applying that same weight type of oil and putting it inside your crankcase. That way it kind of gets rid of little dirty oils inside, so it's not too black, especially when you're going to put the new oil inside. So once it's done, fill it up to the right amount, 4 quarts. Place the oil filter back inside the housing. So once I release this, take it out, and that's that. Alright guys, so place the drain plug back in. So there's literally no way to remove the filter housing. There's really no space. So even I looked down below to see if I could push it down below, but you cannot. There is no space at all for it, unless you was to remove that hose, but it might not possibly be possible. So once you get this out, you pull it up and you kind of tilt it upwards. So when you tilt it upwards, of course you're gonna have to wiggle it out a little bit and pull it out of place. This is how it looks like. So right now I'm just gonna set it to the side and grab the new filter. Alright, so I got the new filter. Let's take a look. So place it back the same way as you took it out. So you want to put these on the bottom, this part. So that's how it was to begin with. Unfortunately, this one is a little bit dirty. You could definitely clean it with a rag or so. I'll probably just do that for just the customer's sake. So the filter comes with a new gasket, so I'm gonna replace it. Might as well, since it comes with a new one, right? So that's what I'm gonna do. I use a blade to remove it from this side, so that way I pull it out. So I'm just gonna remove the old O-ring, or most people call it gasket too as well, but technically it's called an O-ring. So I'm gonna replace it with the new one, place it back in place. I'm probably just gonna clean it a little bit. Alright guys, so I got the new O-ring in place and also the filter. You just want to push it down. That's it. So we're gonna put it back in place now, and just be careful. It is definitely not gonna fall, so don't be so worried about it. But just the part where you place it back in is gonna be a little bit difficult because there's literally no space. So once you get it down, be very careful with the wiring, and back into the housing. So once you guys do this, so what I mean when you're tightening this, do hand tight first. So when you hand tighten it, you want to use the same socket. So when you hear about 2 clicks, I would say stop. Once you get it very tight, not by hand, by the tool. So basically pay very close attention to when you tighten this. So once you get it tight, you'll notice how tight it is. Then if you stop, you're not putting any more pressure. That's when you apply more. So more pressure. So you're gonna hear 2 clicks. Well, actually this doesn't click at all, which is weird. Earlier I heard it click. So fortunately, once you get it tight, check at the very bottom of the housing and use a fingernail if you have any. See if there's any gaps and openings. If there's not, then you should be good. You don't want to over tighten it where you break it, because these are pretty expensive. I'm not sure how much this is, but most German cars are. But let's see, that's about it. So I'm gonna fill it up with oil, put everything back in place, and that's basically how you change your oil on this 2014 Fiat 500. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. I did use a Rhino ramp to get up. By the looks of how low this car is, it looks like it might hit the Rhino ramp, but it won't. Definitely won't. These are usually the heavy duty ones. I did get the ones for smaller vehicles, but you know, exchange it for these ones. These are great, so they're awesome. Definitely recommend them. If you can get the diamond plated ones made out of metal, I mean, they're a little bit more costly, but definitely go for it. You could always use it for any vehicles, except for cars that are pretty much lowered, or as it stands, as they're like a sports. Comes with sports suspensions as well. They're a little bit lower, except for the Civics. Definitely, they're not that low. They're tuned differently. So for that guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, it's definitely easy to do, as you guys can see. That's it. All right.